I chose home birth because I wanted to be in charge of my labor and my birth.
My husband was not on board at first when I was talking about doing the home birth in 1985, and he came with me to meet Ann Wittenborn, and after a few minutes with her, he was like, basically, if she tells us to climb a tree to birth the baby, that's fine, because he had such confidence in her knowledge and her skill.
I just wanted something different. I wanted to be home. I wanted to be in my own environment, especially since I had labored at home most of the time for my first birth. And I also didn't want to leave my oldest child. You know, she was my baby. She was my world. She was my everything. And the thought of possibly leaving her for a few days was really more than I could imagine. You know, I just did not want to leave her for a minute. So having a home birth to me alleviated a lot of that.
One-on-one personal care. You don't have 100 different providers or however many different providers. I don't know how many people I saw when I was in labor with Elsie, but you have this one midwife or midwife team, and you know, hopefully your doula, and they're part of your whole experience, from you know, the birth of the baby, your postpartum care. You know, after was both of my births at home, my midwives both stood next to me while I took a shower. Hours after giving birth, we did skin to skin with Daddy, and they stood in the bathroom with me and helped me take a shower and then tucked me into bed. I mean, you just don't get that, right? Other than at home. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So one-on-one personal care.
I chose home birth because when I went to my regular gynecologist, and I asked her about what books she would recommend for me to read about giving birth, she said she didn't recommend any books because she doesn't want her patients to read about the process. I'm a librarian. That wasn't the thing to tell me. So I was like, what? How do you tell people not to read? And from there, I just kind of furthered my research. And from my furthered research and finding books on my own to read, I realized that going with midwives made more sense. And then from that further research, I found that going home birth made even more sense for me, because it was just going to be a lot more what I envisioned for my birth plan.
The reason I chose to have a home birth is because I had my heart set on a water birth, and there's no other setting close to me that I could have had a water birth other than at home.
I wanted to give birth where I felt safest, in my own space. I wanted to be in control of who was there. I wanted to be in control of my birth and make my own decisions.
Home birth for me was a life changer, because it was really truly life-changing, empowering. I can't say enough about doing home birth.
So your family can be a part of the experience, right? Especially now we have all these hospital restrictions. You know, you can't have your family there, and if it's something you really want, I think I mentioned I had 7 people and at one point 11 people in the room when Marley was born, and that was, you know, my midwife Janet, my other midwife Gail, my photographer and doula and friend Noelle, my mom, my sister, my mother-in-law, my husband, and my 3 children, and then the baby. So 11 people in a 10 by 10 room, and I felt surrounded by a circle of love. I really did at all times. I never felt like I was on display. I just felt like I was completely supported by them.
My home birth was amazing. I was really sad to feel like I was never going to experience that again, but my 2 kids were fantastic. They were healthy. We were a great little family of 4. And then surprise came along number 3. So, you know, of course I was going to have a home birth the 3rd time. There was never any consideration that it was going to be something else.
After I met with my midwife and did my research and learned all about home birth, I would never have a baby in any other type of setting.
I wanted to move around the way I wanted to, push the way I wanted to, and that's exactly why I chose home birth, and I'm very glad that I did.
The reason I did a home birth is that years and years ago, I always was very interested in birth, and even as a young girl would notice that I would ask people to tell me their birth stories, and women would tell me their stories, and I was kind of horrified and struck by just how barbaric a lot of it seemed.
But it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling to do it in your house and to just be there, to just have everyone there. All of my kids through all of my births have slept through and just woke up the next morning and had a new sibling. It has always been such an amazing thing to like be waking them up and being like, the baby's here.
And they were a part of the experience, right? So Elsie, I think, was the main one that would probably remember Marley's birth. And we talked about it earlier on what an impact it made for her to be a part of that experience. I mean, she knew before we were going into labor what her role would be during Marley's birth, to help me be my doula. She would put, do you remember what you did for mommy during labor? Did you put like a cool rag on my head?
Yeah.
And
there was like a list, help dad cook, put the socks in the laundry.
They always leave their socks on the floor. So they were helping out tremendously. And do you think that would have been different if mommy had Marley in the hospital?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really different.
Would you have been able to be there? I don't think so. Because you were only 5.
Maybe only at like grandma. Maybe I had to go to grandma's house.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have been able to be there. And then, were you able to hold Marley afterwards?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Skin to skin.
Skin to skin. So there isn't a lot of research on sibling skin to skin, but there is on partner skin to skin, showing that it really kind of rewires the partner's brain to show more connection to the baby if you have a half an hour of skin to skin with the partner every day. I believe the same is true for siblings. I can't tell you the connection that my babies have with each other because they did skin to skin with Marley. It was a very special time, right?
Mhm. We were in our room. We were playing, and Grandma called us in just me in to because the baby was born.
Yeah.
Mama.
Do you remember the fun box?
Yes.
Yeah. So what we did, because we had older siblings for our birth, we put a bunch of things that we don't normally let the kids play with in a box, and we wrote the word fun on the outside and said that we were able to open it once I was in labor. And it was they wanted to open that fun box. And let me tell you, I was 40 plus 5 and I was wanting them to open the fun box too. So we had just, I don't know, Play-Doh and candy and all fun things in the box. So it's just a beautiful thing to be able to have your family be a part of the experience. A huge bonus for me.
My first was born in the hospital, so I do have both experiences to compare. And having a home birth was just amazing. I would choose it again and again.
I couldn't imagine birth any other way, honestly.
We do live close to hospitals, but I felt that in terms of exposure to other illnesses in a hospital, in terms of stress, in terms of making the whole thing less likely to cause a lupus flare, home birth was better.
Afterwards, you're tucked into your own bed, you know? Not a twin size bed, not one that makes noises and is 10 feet off the floor. Your own bed. And your team will tuck you in and feed you before they leave for the night. And that means that when they leave for the night, they're not coming back every hour to stick you with a needle or to check your vitals or to do anything, because again, birth is a very normal life event. It's a wonderful thing to be tucked into bed. I will never forget the night that Marley was born. She was born at 5:22 p.m. and my whole team left around 10 o'clock probably. My sister, greatest gift I've ever been given, said she was taking my 3 older kids so we could just bond with the baby. And we had all this time to be with all the people that we loved, and then we had the night just to be with me and Marley and Daddy. So it was just an incredible experience for us. So you're just left alone. You don't have to, worry about someone coming in every second. You're already not sleeping because you just had a baby, but you have these extra people and the alarms and all of this other stuff that goes on in the hospital.
I was able to take a shower 20 minutes after giving birth while my husband did skin to skin, dressed in my comfortable clothes, whatever was nearby. Got to lay in my own bed shortly after, and it was like my family was complete.
I can't say enough about home birth. From being able to just eat the stuff that I made that was in my refrigerator, to just the safety and comfort and strength of knowing that I was doing that I did it, with lots of support. But I just, my last baby was almost 28 years ago. I still feel the positive reverberations of home birth in my life.
After that, and I was in bed with my baby, and there's honestly no better feeling than being in your house, taking a shower in your bathtub, putting on your clothes in your home, and your kids just surrounding you. I can't even begin to explain what an amazing feeling that is.
Of course, another benefit is you're in your own environment, you're in your own home. That's a huge part of birth. No matter where you are, is that you have to have a beautiful environment to birth, and you have to feel safe. And obviously, if it's your own home, you probably feel safe. You probably feel like you're in a great environment. So that's a huge part of it.
Everyone was gone within 3 hours. I did not have anybody checking in on me every half an hour coming in. I had my privacy. I had my life. I had everything all set. And there was no disruptions, no distractions. It was just my family and I. And even if I weren't having another water birth, I would 100% choose home birth again.
But home birth is just wonderful, and I'm looking forward to my 2 daughters-in-law having their babies at home too. It's just terrific. So I wish you all love and luck and happy babies. Bye-bye.